Hey, welcome to another episode of The Art of Making Things Happen, the podcast with me, Steve Sims. Rudy Mawer, have you come across him? Do you know him? He is young, focused, very, very smart, and he's telling me he's going to be a billionaire. And to be quite honest with you, I believe him. All right? If you've not come across Rudy, when you start searching him, you're going to see him everywhere. He's one of the masters of being omnipresent. Once you actually step into his sandpit, and he calls it the red life, you will actually see him absolutely anywhere on any kind of platform you're in. Listen to how he got aggravated enough to do something, change the room he's in, and get supported by people that want bigger and better. That's the kind of room you need to be in. Enjoy the episode. Hey, Rudy, welcome to the show.
Hey, bud, it's good to be here.
It's great to meet you. Like, I've got to know you over 2 years, and when people see you, and my God, you're everywhere, they're straight away confronted by this young dude that's constantly in red. But at the age of 31, you're a damn powerhouse. And I hate waiting to the end before I tell people how to find out. So anyone that wants to know more about this guy, mawercapital.com. The link's going to be below, MAWER capital.com. You really got to find out about this guy. And when you start looking at him, be prepared that he is going to pop up absolutely everywhere. You've got Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, Kevin Harrington. You've got a lot of names behind you. Tai Lopez, raised millions of dollars. I want to first of all ask, where did you come from? Because you're 31 years old and you've achieved a lot.
Yep.
Being a fellow Brit, how did this all start?
Well, I think the UK hindered and helped me, right? So I left the UK at 24. It hindered me in a way of like, I think I'd actually be further ahead, arguably, if I was born in America. But it showed me I had to be around the right people. And where I was born in the UK was a small town. I always joke that, the UK doesn't like money and success. And my ops manager puts it really well. He's from the UK, one of them. And he goes, in the US, and you get a Lamborghini, they want to take photos and ask how you did it. In the UK, they want to scratch the Lamborghini. So that's always like a good summary. And don't get me wrong, I have family and friends there, and there's obviously great parts of England. But from success, mindset, business, money standpoint, it's a different culture, right? So I moved to America at 24, 25. And then I've been doing a bunch of stuff, hustling. I was selling in school at 9, 10 years old. So I was a born entrepreneur, always been an entrepreneur. And I have a big goal of being a billionaire. So you say I've achieved a lot at a young age, but I'm like, and when people say that, I'm like, yeah, I have, because I have to, because I want to be a billionaire, and I want to be a billionaire before I die, right? I don't want to be a billionaire at 70 and then die at 72. I want to be a billionaire at 40 and then have the half of my life to enjoy the wealth and the impact and the legacy and the thing that I create.
Now, you speak about the cultural differences between the UK and the US.
Yeah,
being a Brit as well. That there's no point in apologizing. It is a fact. We love in the UK to put people up on a pedestal and then immediately bash them. Why is there such a cultural divide with entrepreneurism? And you're correct, with money, where it's kind of like, oh, well done, grab a picture in the US, and oh my God, in the UK, you must be doing something dishonest. Why is there a cultural divide?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a big question, right? I think a lot of it comes down to the UK. I mean, most of society in most countries, but especially the UK, they're ingrained to believe and live a certain way. And sadly, there's only a few risk takers, people like me and you, right, that change, we move, we adapt, we think big, we define the norm, we step outside, and we do what most people won't do. And I think a lot of it in the UK, because 99% of people won't take that risk, it turns into like a deep down like side of like resentment, and like people not it deliberately, right? Like it's not their fault, but part of them wishes that they had done that, and it's kind of like it's the decision they never made, but part of them wishes they had. They can't believe it's true, and that I think a lot of it falls back on them questioning, should they have done that, and are they happy at where they're at, right? Because I mean, if people are super happy in where they're at, then they don't care what other people are doing, right? But if people have like unfulfilled dreams, and they aren't happy with where they're at, it's everyone's fault, right? And anyone that is happy or successful, then like you become a bad person.
Now, you left at 24. Who did you come over here with?
No one.
See, now I'm glad you answered that. I was trying to find out where it was going to go. You were pissed off and aggravated enough to actually go, "Fuck this, I got to find somewhere else."
Dude,
was
I left. I left with
strong?
one suitcase. It's like the cliche story, you know. It's like I'm immigrant with one suitcase, started again. But I literally did, and like no one believed I was gonna do it because it was only like 9 months before I was graduating my degree at Nottingham Trent, so in the Midlands. Everyone knows where that is, Robin Hood, right? If you don't, Robin Hood land. So I was graduating, and I was always adventurous and thought different. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to move to America and do my master's degree there, and I'll probably stay forever. And like my parents kind of knew I was serious and would do it because they know I've always been super different. But I think everyone else was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. And then like I literally had my last exam. I hadn't even graduated. Graduation was 2 months away. Didn't know if I had passed my last year. I know I had, but you know, like I was getting good grades. But it's like my last exam was 4 p.m. and I had a flight out of Manchester at 8 a.m. to Florida. And I like packed my suitcases, went to bed, woke up at like 5 a.m., got on a train to Manchester from Nottingham, and I've never looked back, right?
And what was your first? Okay, so you got over here, you've left everyone, you've run away, and as we've always said, you got to change your surroundings. If you want to do great things, you've got to be around people to challenge you. Yep. So what was the first thing? You've got this hustle, you didn't know where it was going to go, you didn't know how to maybe fine-tune it, you're young, you're fresh. What was the first thing that got you kind of, hang on a minute, I've got something here? What was your first success?
Yeah, so I was like very business savvy. So I worked like 3 jobs at 18, built a website, got ranked 1 for SEO in my city, had a little personal training business. And I was actually earning like close to 100 grand a year as a college student because I was running a personal training business. I was running nightclub events, selling supplements, hustling, you know, building an online fitness brand at the same time. And then I moved to the US and I actually bought real estate. I saved all my money, bought a house at 18, bought another one at 20, rented it to all my friends, bought another one at 21, rented it to all my college friends. So like I was super business savvy, but I was like, I'm super business savvy, but I'm earning X amount. And I always say the definition of success where I was from is you earn 100 grand a year and drive a Range Rover. Right? It's like that was the goal at 40. And it's so crazy to think that that could have been my life because you're like, it's like the whole shark story, right? A shark will grow as big as its surroundings. So if it's in a small 4-foot tank, it's going to stay a 1-foot shark, right? And that's how it is. So I knew I had to get out. I knew that success and all the big people were in America. So I used graduate school as a vehicle to do that. So I went to grad school in University of Tampa here in Florida. An easy way to get in because it's super hard to get a visa. And then I actually made my professor $1 million in that year as he was a big fitness professor with all my marketing Facebook ad skills. And then I graduated and did $1 million for myself about 12 to 18 months later. And then it's just like compounds, right? Then I'm like, $1 million is cool. Then I'm hanging around with guys doing 5-10 million. I'm like, wow, I could do that too. Then I hit 10 million. Now I'm hanging around with guys doing 100 mil, 200 mil, 500 mil exits and billionaires. And I know I can do that too.
What was it like when you made your first million? Again, in the UK, we don't talk about money. Sure. In the rooms that we're in here. But I remember being a young lad at the age of 18, you know, in the little biker bar in East London, and you dream of being a millionaire. And then when you get it, it's kind of like, I'm still broke.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because I think the key to success is your goals and where you perceive yourself and see yourself always have to be further ahead. And some people look at that as like, you're never happy, you're never grateful, you're never content. And I'm like, yeah, good, because I won't be content until I'm the biggest person in the world or the richest person in the world or you know, and there will obviously be somewhere along the way where I'm like, okay, this is me. But if you want to be world class, like the best people I use sport analogies a lot because I'm from a sport background. All the best people in the world, the reason they're the best in the world is because they're never content. The best athletes, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Usain Bolt, even when they're the best in the world and they have the world record, they're trying to beat their own score by a microsecond or by 1 putt or by 1 shot, right? And that is the mindset of being the best and winning. So for me, 1 million was cool, but it wasn't even like, it wasn't even cool when I hit it. It was cool 2 years before I hit it with the goal, but 10 million was cool. And then I remember when I hit 10 million, right? It wasn't cool anymore because I'd been running $100 million companies with Ty Lopez. So that's like, I'm like, why am I doing such tiny money? Like 10 million's nothing, you know, like why am I not doing 100 million? And I know when I do 100 million, I'll already have my sights on 1 billion. I'm like, finally, I freaking did 100 million. This is so small. I need to get to 1 billion now, right? That's how I work, at least.
Now, you identified very early on the necessity for a brand, and you've latched onto a brand. You cannot bump into you without you being in red. And so all your boys are in red, your crews are in red, your offerings, your websites. Where did the red come from?
Sure, good question. So I had red was my favorite color. I had a agency, my old agency that still exists, ROI Machines. It was all blue and gold. And I had that for many years. I still own it. I stepped out of it. I have like a CEO and a team that run it. So I couldn't do blue. My original fitness business that was pretty successful, we had 100,000 members, was green, right? Cliche green for health. So I'm like, well, I'm running out of colors here for this new venture, this new business that started 2-3 years ago. And I'm like, red's my favorite color. I love interior design. I got an office and I wanted to be different, right? The whole theme was attention. It was being loud. It was being different because that's who I am now. And that's what I believe. And that's what I believe is so important in marketing and sales and building a brand is being different. And actually in life in general, the best people in the world, right? However you classify best, money, success, achievement, changing lives, charity, philanthropy, they're generally thinking and acting different. So that's part of it. And then, you know, our whole theme now, which we're focused on next year, is called The Red Life. And it's a play on, you know, taking the red pill and making the decision to live a life outside the norm, a life outside of what society ingrains in you and believing anything's possible.
Yes, Sally Hogshead said it's always better to be different rather than better.
Yes.
So she's always focused on that. I've got an argument for you.
Sure.
There's a lot of people out there that are loud.
Yep.
Okay. I wouldn't actually say you were loud.
No, louder. Yeah. I mean, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of power and presence around you, and there's a lot of visual with the red. And, you know, like when you're at traffic and conversion or an event and you're filming it, you know, you'll have a group of guys around you and they'll be all red. So there's this big red beehive coming at you. But you seem to be very delicate in what you say. In fact, I remember going to the same mastermind that we were members of. I probably went to the same mastermind with you maybe 4 or 5 times before we ever spoke.
Sure.
And you've always been very quiet. You've never been one of these gobby guys that's just like, hey, look at me. You've always really looked at the substance, the angle, and where you can create the impact. You've always been very tactical in your conversations.
Yep. So I was a chess champion at school and like really good at strategy. So I'm like, and I was a head of my maths class as well. So I'm like strategy and maths and formulas, calculation. And yeah, I guess loud's probably a bad word. When I say loud, I don't mean just vocally loud. I mean loud in more of like omnipresence, attention, like whether you want to know me or you don't know me or you want to like ignore me, I'm going to be everywhere, right? So that's, I guess, like a better way of phrasing. Yes, I'm definitely not the loudest rah-rah person in the world. And yeah, I'm kind of like, I sit back, I observe, and I've got a grand master plan, right? And I don't have to scream and shout about it all the time. So for me, it's more like, I'm doing my own thing. I'm in my lane. I'm growing, but it's going to be hard to ignore me.
Yeah, omnipresence is a beautiful, beautiful segue. Once you start, and of course I know you, and I started doing some little, digging in. Once you kind of enter into that little pit, it's very hard. You just suddenly get engulfed, and it's like you're staring at me all the time. How important today is being omnipresent?
Yeah, I'm a big believer. It's like super important because the way I talk about this a lot on stages and interviews and stuff, I say if you ask people 50 years ago what wealth was and how to be successful, it was like real estate, right? Like most people in the world would say that. And I love real estate. I have real estate. But I think if you ask people in 50 years from now, it'll be social media and influence and impact and attention. So to me, that's how I see the future landscape. I'm 30 years old. So I'm like, I'm going to do business for probably at least 30 more years, right? Double what I'm aged today. So for me, in the next 30 years, creating that ability to be everywhere, to be known, to have influence and impact, so important. And I use the analogy a lot of, if you look at a lot of pro athletes, like Olympic athletes or top athletes, you look at movie stars, many of them are making more money in 2-3 years than they made in 20 or 30 years doing their sport, from their influence and their impact and their omnipresence and their reach. So if that doesn't click for you, that, hey, actually the ability to influence and impact people is more important, like you're getting people that are the best in the world at their sport launching some liquor line or be it bracelets or jewelry or perfume, right? And they're making more money in 2 or 3 years than being the best in the world at a sport, and like, or being a famous movie star. So to me, that's the landscape, and that's why I'm so focused on it.
Now, you do a lot of training. In fact, you have a very large group doing different kind of training options. Why was it important for you to share? Because there's a lot of people out there that talk a good talk, and they love to pretend to coach, but they never had it themselves. You actually, you've done it. You're proven. You got some substance. Yeah, I'm going to vouch for him. Yet you're very open to actually teaching people. Why?
Because I've never had this like small mindset or like competition. Like, I don't see anyone's competition. Like, many of my best closest friends in this industry are like technically what you would call competition. They're selling similar things to me, but like, I have this abundance mindset. There's enough people in the world to buy my stuff and other people's stuff, and many of the people in our world, they love to buy many things, right? So it's not like they're only going to buy one thing. And I think everyone has a different way of adding value. So it's like, I know what I do, I know what value I add, I know how we sell and what we offer. And sometimes we'll win the sale. Sometimes they'll go to a friend of mine, and then maybe 2 years later, they'll come back to me. So, and also, here's the thing. It's like, I can give you the tools, the system. I can go learn how to shoot just like Michael Jordan and dribble and stuff like LeBron and dunk. I'm never going to be LeBron, right? Or Michael Jordan. So that's how I see marketing and business. It's like, hey, I'll give you all the frameworks and the tools, and then you just come and try and chase me, right? Like, I'm going here. I know where I'm going. Nothing's going to stop me. And I would love for you to be part of that too. Learn from me, implement it, change your life, change other people's lives. But I don't see it as competition, because I'm so driven. I know where I'm going. And I think there's enough for everyone.
All right. So you've openly declared you're a chess champion. What are the next 3 moves that Rudy has planned?
Yeah. So this last year, I stepped out of full-time stuff with Ty Lopez, so I really got back in my own businesses. We grew one of them to $1 million a month. It's only a 2-year-old company, and we grew it to $1 million a month in this second year of business. So I'm super happy and proud of that, and like, also build it in a way that now next year I can step out from it, and hopefully it will double again to 25 million revenue next year. So the goal is to keep growing that, but like, I've kind of been in the weeds of running the companies for the last few years, and next year's the goal of going broader and going back into like the big picture of like, hey, I'm actually going to be more on the face of the brand, the content, the filming, the doing YouTube and all the stuff, and traveling and interviewing and podcasting and strategic connections. That's another superpower of, I think, CEOs and people like me and you, is we can have so much leverage with knowing the right people because we're connected. And then also, so that's one big chess move. Second big chess move is the celebrity brands. So for me, the celebrity brands is so important because it's so like taking what skill set I've developed for 10 years and then compounding it. So we're working on more deals. We'll probably do like 6 or 7 celebrity partnerships next year, hopefully one every 2 months. Because I think I can take my team's skill set and mine and 10x it with celebrities behind it. So that's the next big thing. And then the third big thing that I've already done this year is just strategic partnerships from an equity standpoint. I took equity in several companies. We 3 or 4x most of them with the skills I have and the skills my team have to create win-win where we're growing it. Now I own part of the business. So that's probably the third.
Now, you did deals with, I think it was Tyson and Floyd Mayweather. Is that correct?
Yep. Clients of that. Yeah, I'm actually next week I'm in LA filming with Floyd. So we're filming and launching his stuff very soon. Tyson, we've launched more recently. So they're the sort of models we're going for, taking really impactful, influential people that have a lot of knowledge and helping share that with the world and build a business from it.
And are you just doing it with celebrities, or if someone was out there that reckon that they knew that wheelhouse better than anyone else, are they the kind of people that should contact you and go, hey, how do I get my knowledge out there and monetize it?
Yeah, I mean, we've got 40,000 students that we've helped with that, right, for our courses, programs. We have 300 members in our other, more coaching-based programs that we support with that. So just different models, different ways of helping and supporting, depending on where you're at in the journey, right? Whether it's like a $27 course all the way up to becoming business partners. Our skill sets, e-commerce, online sales, physical goods, and then a lot of the education side, because I've been selling fitness education for over 10 years now, right? And then helped hundreds of companies do that. And then coaching, consulting, agencies. That's really my bread and butter.
How are you viewing the latest, and I don't know what to call it, recession, depression, adjustment, whatever the fuck it is? How do you handle it?
I probably won't give you a good answer because I'm so detached from like the world, from politics, from what's happening, like that I just stay in my lane and I figure it out, right? And I think that I'm the opposite. Like there's one side of the scale where people are so obsessed with what's happening in the world that they don't obsess in their own world and what they can impact. But I'm a control freak. So what I mean by that is I only want to be involved in stuff I can manipulate, change, and control. So unless I'm the president of the US or running it to be the president, I don't care about the politics. I can't influence it, right? Like, and if I want to be president, then I do care a lot and I'll be obsessed with it. And it's the same with the economy. I can't change the economy. I can't change the fact that people might run out of money and all these problems. All I can control is me. So I've just got to me, it's just like, hey, if I'm a good runner, but now I've got to run uphill, I need to just run harder. So for me, and obviously there's some strategy and pacing too, right? So I've got to be strategic. I've got to, be aware of it, but ultimately I've got to innovate, right? I think innovation can cure a lot of things, and I've got to work and push even harder.
Now, as an international businessman, we've seen a lot of, titillation and talk of crypto, blockchain. How are you using, or are you using any of the crypto, NFT, blockchain for your businesses?
Not too much yet. I'm not someone that's like either side of the spectrum of like, hey, this is the next big thing, or like, hey, this is BS. I'm like in the middle, neutral, because I used to be a scientist. So for me, I'm like, I have to know something really well or know enough people and study it well to make decisions, educated decisions. So, and really crypto and NFTs came up in the last like 3 years. They blew up, right? And that was like in line with everything I was doing with Ty Lopez and the US brands. And I was just like in my lane, doing my thing. I knew that would be a big distraction, and maybe a good distraction, not in a bad way, but it was something I couldn't commit to and afford to give, because I love to get deep into stuff. So I knew if I went down that rabbit hole, it would be a long, deep rabbit hole. And it was like discipline to not get too involved in it, because I had to stay so focused on growing these big US brands. And we did so many acquisitions, 300 employees. I was running a lot of it day to day with Ty and trying to juggle my own business that was still growing and keep giving that support on the side. It just wasn't something I got too into. And obviously now I'm out of that and I've got more time. It's been very up and down in the last year or so. So for me, it's just, I'm fascinated by it. I think there's a lot to it. I think it has legs in some capacity, but I haven't been able to give it the attention to commit to doing things with it yet.
All right. Culture. How important is culture within your business? How do you discover it within someone you're bringing into your team, and how do you maintain it?
It's everything, right? It's everything. Like, we have this like analogy internally, like, hey, we always tell people on the interview, we compare ourselves to the Navy SEALs of like, hey, when you come in, the first month's going to be hell week. Everyone wants to be a SEAL. They like watching SEALs on TV, but most of them wouldn't survive. And that's how it is here, right? And I think, and I say, look, my job as CEO is to make sure the whole group is at SEAL level, because if it's not, and there's a weak flank or rear, then what can happen is you can be weak and it cause exposure, and then the whole team dies, right? And my job as a leader is to make sure that doesn't happen. We can't have the whole team die. So we have to be very aligned. We have to be true to our core values. We go over our core values with every employee. We reference back to them on a regular basis. We hold quarterly reviews against them. We call people out when they're not aligned to them. We try and I've invested probably $400,000 into the office I'm sat in now, 10,000 square foot, nearly 50 employees are in this office now, to create that world-class culture. I wanted to make work like really high, like the military, right? Like it's like, hey, we go to war and we win and we're the best in the world, but then we go and have a beer and have some fun after it, right? So that's kind of how we are. It's like we're world class, but we also want to have fun and have it as like this close community, this close family. But family can argue at times and call each other out and hold each other accountable too, because if you love someone, that's what you do, right? You don't deal with the BS, you face it and deal with it and work through it. That's what a team does. So for me, it's everything. I want to be a billionaire. There's very few billion-dollar companies that don't have hundreds or thousands of employees. I acknowledge that early on. So to me, it's a big part of my growth strategy is a world-class big team. So it's everything.
And what about your clientele? Do you make sure that they share the same cultural belief as you, or does it?
Yeah,
is it a little bit different for that aspect?
Yeah, it's hard to vet quite like you'd vet in an interview, right?
Yeah,
but it's just like anything over time. Like even when we've taken businesses and took equity, we'll do like a trial phase where it's like no strings attached. We'll help run stuff for a few months before we even sign legal contracts, because we don't want to be, and we'll have a waterfall clause like, hey, if in 3 months it's not work, just pay our agency retainer for 3 months for all the work we did. And we did 10 times more than what we do for an agency client, and they we're honest about that. It's like, hey, let's date before we marry. So definitely on the equity partnership side, and then obviously more with our coaching clients and stuff. Yeah, if there's someone that we let in and over time they're not a fit or we're not a fit, we'll try and let them out or figure out an exit strategy. But often also it's us having an honest conversation, because we're very seasoned in business. A lot of entrepreneurs aren't. They like the idea of it, but they're not true CEOs. So sometimes a big part of what we do is coach them on that, right? They come to us for marketing, Facebook ads, how to understand all that. Not like over 50% of what we do is how to be a real entrepreneur, a real CEO. And like, yeah, business sucks. Yeah, your ads are going to get banned. Yeah, you're going to lose money on it too. Yeah, that employee stole hours from you. I had that call with someone today on a live Q&A. They billed you for 7 hours and did one. Yes, going to happen 50 more times. Move on, hire someone else. So a lot of it's having that real conversation with them, right? Because I've been through it. I've been stole from, all that jazz, ripped off 100 times, just like you, like every big entrepreneur. And it's just helping coach them through that.
Do you like being a CEO?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, some people hate employees. Like I'm nearly 100 staff. Most people I talk to, they're like, screw that. I could never imagine that. I just want 5 or 10 ninjas. I sat at a table last week with a bunch of guys doing 10 mil, and they were like, I couldn't think of anything worse. I just want 5 or 10 staff, or I'm getting rid of my staff. But to me, it's part of a grand vision, right? Like, and they're all my community and my supporters that make up the vision. And my vision's so big, I need a lot of people. It's like I'm building a city, right? Like you can't have a city with 4 staff. I'm building a whole city. I need a big population in my city, right? And it's like, if you just want a mansion with a few friends hanging out in there, that's your 5 or 10 or 20 person business. But I'm building a city, and your mansion might be inside my city, but I need a lot of people.
I've noticed that when I've been around your people in different events, whether it be Austin or Traffic and Conversion, they all do sing the same song. They all have the same tone. They all have the same mentality. Obviously, the red's still there. Do you ever wake up one morning and go, shit, I want to put a blue suit on?
People ask that. I didn't before this a few years ago. I have a lot of black, right? Like half my closet is all my old clothes, some very expensive designer stuff, and it's like I don't wear it anymore. But I don't know, like I like to be different. I kind of like how gimmicky it is now, and I also like how simple it is. Like, and I like how everyone loves it. It's a joke, right? We all laugh about it. You laugh about it. Everyone laughs about it, right? And it's like, here you are again in the red. So, will in 5-10 years it maybe get old and I might go back to some regular clothes some of the time? Yeah, I'm sure, maybe, who knows. But right now it's like it's part of me, it's part of the brand, it's fun, it's gimmicky, it's simplified. And I love clothes. Like I like to, buy different clothes. I like furniture. So for me, it's a cool challenge of like, what's the most outrageous and stupid red thing I can buy this week and wear, right? And I got some real red outrageous coats and stupid things that I'm always trying to buy. Yeah.
Do you ever go back to the UK?
I used to go back a couple of times a year. I haven't since COVID. I don't like it that much, honestly, and I would sooner fly my family out here to spend time in Florida, which they're all about. I cover all the costs. So I'll probably, now, the stuff's settled down, I'll probably start going back. I got real estate back there still. I haven't seen for like 4 years. So I'll probably go back once a year or so, but I'll try and tie it into business events and events. And then I keep bringing my family out here.
Yeah, mine are the same. My father-in-law realised or played the game well. He was like, why don't you fly me and mum over there? You've got kids. It's cheaper than 5 tickets this way. So, no, I never go back. There's one guy, Colin, in England that's still a dear, dear friend to this day. But by the sounds of it, you don't have a lot of friends still kicking around in the UK.
No, I mean, some of them we stay in touch, but actually they want to come visit me and they're always some of them have been out several times, they'll try and come out once a year. And for them, it's it's an excuse to come out to Florida. There's super cheap flights. It's like, I pay more to fly to LA from Florida than I do to, and I have like 9 million Amex points. So I fly first class forever for free. And my family and staff do. But even my friends, it's like, hey, they get to come out and hang out with a millionaire for a week in Florida. They're going to take that every time because it's a cool, different lifestyle than what they're used to, right? And we have a lot of old memories. So, yeah, there's no, it's like, that's the thing about entrepreneurship. I do what I do to create this dream lifestyle. So it's like, I don't want to go back to the UK. My parents know that I don't want to go back to the UK, and they know when I'm there, I want to get back here, especially now I've got my company, I've got dogs, I've got a great penthouse on the ocean. So it's like they know that it's like they're in Rudy's world, right? So it's like, hey, I'll fly you first class, come hang out here for a week. They get away. So you just got to create your dream life. You've got to create a win-win. You got to be creative to figure through solutions, right? Like have that discussion with your family. Hey, I don't really want to come back. Can I fly you all first class with all my 9 million Amex points and you can have a week on the beach and we'll go to Disney and Universal? And it's like, that's not a big job to convince someone to do that, right?
So how does someone get saturated with you? How do they get into the red world, as you said? What's the best way?
Yeah, it's a one-way door, right? You click one ad or one website or follow me one time. There's no going back.
You're done. Yeah.
You delete everything and you go and live in a cave for the rest of your life, maybe. So yeah, Instagram, I'm super active. The other channels are our focus next year as well. But yeah, Rudy Mawer Life on Instagram, or just type in Rudy. You'll probably start seeing the red photo pop up. And then, we've got our personal brand site that we just launched, which is the Red Life, which is the whole, theme around and content and videos and blogs on how to live a different life and create that dream life for you. And then, there'll be more YouTube and podcast and everything next year. And then my main site that you announced at the start is a great place to go as well.
I appreciate it. All the links will be under there. Rudy, thanks a lot for taking the time to chat with me today. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me. And I'm glad there's a few Brits out here doing big things. So it's always awesome time with you.
Look after yourself, pal. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey, I hope you liked that episode of the Art of Making Things Happen podcast. And remember, these are done for you. If you like them, subscribe, share them around. But if you don't like them, send me an email to ask@stevedsims.com and you can tell me what I need to do to make this the most dynamic podcast you listen to. Anyway, make sure whatever you learned from the last podcast, you actually do something with. Without action, it's just a bunch of people blowing air. Have a good time. Until next time. Bye.